All right, guys, we're live for our daily, I think it's going to be daily Q&A. And I had to make a video about this BJJ, does it work in a street fight? Because I'm still getting comments. And sometimes I make videos and I think, man, are people actually listening? Or do they hear what they want to hear? Or do they just want to be heard? So I made this video a while back about this BJJ work in a street fight. And I think people took it all wrong. People took it as if I was bashing BJJ, as if I said it doesn't work, as if there's no benefits to training in it. And the comments just keep coming in and in. And I did get some support, but I also got some people just writing me stupid ass comments like, why don't you go roll at a gym? Why don't you go train with the Gracies? If you go with a BJJ, he's gonna turn you into a pretzel. And I'm hearing all this shit, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what are actually people listening? What are you hearing when I make these videos? And at no point do I say that BJJ is useless. At no point do I say BJJ sucks. At no point do I say your BJJ won't serve you at all in a street fight or for self-defense. What I'm saying, like most systems, it has its benefits and its limitations. And this depends on what are you training for. What is the purpose of your training? That's the first thing I tell people. And in an industry that's so hard to try to make it or stand out, people are just mixing shit together. BJJ is exactly that. It's one-on-one, like, submission, locks, rolling. It's like playing chess, right? I'm not gonna mix them all up together, right? There's no striking involved. There's no multiple attackers. There's no weapons. It is completely unrealistic to you fighting in an elevator, a staircase, a car, multiple attackers, weapons. So your comment is probably, you're such an idiot. Yeah, you probably, against multiple attackers, there's nothing you can do. Here's my answer to this if you're watching this video. If your answer is against the knife, there's nothing you could do, you're gonna die. Against multiple attackers, there's no system, there's nothing you can die, then that's great. You can live with that mindset and tell yourself that if you're faced against in that situation. Or you can tell yourself, well, what can I learn to heighten, to put more chances, to have more options or probabilities to survive this attack through, basically, let's say we're talking about multiple attackers, through awareness, through setting up your first strike, maybe improvised weapons, having an escape plan, everything that happens prior to that strike. So when people talk to me about multiple attackers, there is a lot of stuff that you could do, right? There's nothing we can do. Same thing against the knife. When people tell me, well, against the knife, there's nothing you could do. Well, you can say that to yourself, or you can learn how to use an improvised weapon, how to create space and distance, how to use a static improvised weapon. So it's all about possibilities and probabilities and breaking those down. So when we talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the skills that you're going to acquire, and again, I've actually trained with some of the top. I had Bernardo Faria come here. We filmed videos. I got to train with him. Even he understands that it has its limitations. People that I trained who, like I have my own personal MMA coach, knows that your BJJ has its limitations because it's more or less a 1, 2, maybe 3-dimensional fighter. Again, there's no striking. It doesn't help with multiple attackers. You're not fighting on mats. There is, it's like I said, it's limitation. Now, what you need to do if you're training in BJJ is be like, okay, how can my BJJ and my training serve me in the street? How can I use it, right? Yes, you learn how to clinch, how to feel your opponent's energy, how to move, how to position. I could probably tell you the only submission I think that maybe you'd be able to put in the street in terms of self-defense is maybe a guillotine or a rear naked choke, maybe a crossface this way. But anything that revolves going down to the ground, you're risking to get stomped or kicked when we're looking at multiple attackers. Now, if you're in the street and you know it's a one-on-one and nobody's getting involved, there's no weapons, and it's a fair fight. We'll call it a fair fight because that shit doesn't exist. And you know that nobody's gonna get involved. There's no weapons, just me against my attacker. And he tells you, by the way, nobody's gonna jump in, and I have no weapons, so we're gonna make this a fair fight. And yeah, if you're a great BJJ practitioner and this is what you know, and this is what you know to do best, chances are you're gonna beat the guy. However, that is in the situation and the circumstance that you're only one-on-one, that there's no weapons involved, that nobody's getting involved, and that you're in a space that allows it. I'm in my living room right here, right now. I don't have the space to go down and try to do an arm bar or, put him in the ground and, try to do a triangle choke. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it has its limitation. And this is what's important when you're learning martial arts or self-defense. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of my training overall? What do I want to achieve through my workout and my training? Is it for the ring? Is it for the street? Is it for survival? Once you establish that, then you can actually respect the art for what it is. And, I love BJJ, I love it. And the reason why I love training BJJ is because I just busted my ribs. My ribs are busted again. I was training with Davis. He punched me in the ribs, fucking killed. That wouldn't happen in BJJ because there's no striking involved. It's basically playing chess. And at any point you're put in a position, you just tap. So I actually enjoy it. I think it's safer probably than even Taekwondo or most of the fighting that requires strikes, because sometimes you get that one strike and that's all it takes, a shot that you don't see coming. Whereas BJJ, you have enough time to just tap and the fight is over, So again, learn how to use your self-defense, your martial arts, traditional martial arts. Learn what it's for, and if you're learning for self-defense, what can I take from that and apply it in my training? So now I'm gonna answer your guys' question. Markin, what's up, my man? I agree to jiu-jitsu, and he says that aggressors on the street will not bother you. Hey, good old Germany, the Greek. Aki, what's going on? But Navy SEALs and Special Forces training BJJ, what do you take on this? It's amazing. They should train in BJJ because a lot of fights happen in close quarter. And when you're trapping and you're clinching and you're grabbing and you're falling and you're going up, it's great, but you're training this to be able to fight in close quarter, to feel the energy, to be able to understand positioning. But the only difference is once I clinch and I move, boom, I'm throwing my strike, I'm throwing an elbow, I'm clinching and I'm moving. If I go down to the ground, I have an understanding of how to fall, how to take somebody down. But as I'm rolling, I'm striking, I'm working in those strikes, headbutts, elbows, eye gouging, crushing the throat, throwing the knees. So what I do when I do drills, I break down the drill. So if I tell you, okay, for 2 minutes, I'm gonna be attacking you with a knife, you can only use BJJ. You're gonna realize very quickly that the time it's gonna take you to try to put me in an armbar as I'm stabbing you it's endless. I'm gonna stab you so many times. Now, if I tell you you can strike as quickly as possible, you might clinch and use a BJJ for a second where you just clinch and you position and bam, you turn around and you throw your strikes. You're gonna test it out and see the amount of time it takes for me to defend against a knife in close quarter against a BJJ, and someone who's striking is, again, it's all about, against the knife, you're gonna get cut. The chances you don't get cut are very slim to none. But am I gonna get cut 25 times, 20 times, 16, 5, or 3? All that really depends on, again, your awareness, your level of awareness, and for you to be able to come in and be proactive and be able to act a lot quicker when it comes to defending against a knife. So this is just an example. Nick, how do you prepare for one? Nick, how do you prepare for on one in the gym? I live in the most. Craig, can you ask your question again? I don't get it. Family 136. Markin, what's up, my man? Lofton, be aggressive and ruthless as possible. You know what? That's amazing, right? Never fight the other guy's fight. If he's grappling, I'm fucking striking. If he's striking, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna grapple or try to like eliminate his strength. Never fight the other guy's fight. Vincent, my man, what's going on? Vincent Van Dierveen, man, I want to thank you guys for watching. You've been following Pietro as well. You've been a long-time supporter. Aki, in my street fights, I was victorious with the speed and power. Must be on point. The punch must be absolutely, guys. Speed, power, timing. You know, understanding how to transfer weight, how to hit hard, and most important is how to read body language. The most important part of a fight, and this is where most people neglect to teach, is what happens. Like everybody starts the fight, the guy grabbed me, he punched me, hit me. I want to start the first moment you saw something or you felt something. The fight starts there. If somebody's going to stab you with a knife, first he's got to see you, then he's got to close the distance, then he's got to break the distance and come in your range, pull out a weapon or the weapon has to be out, and then he's going to attack you. How long did it take for him to get from point A to point B with you not seeing it? And this is what most martial arts and self-defense are not teaching. Those few seconds, and this is from experience working in clubs, those few seconds prior to the actual fight are the most important. The quicker you can react and go preemptive, the higher chances of survival. Antonis Moropoulos, keep a safe distance from you. An attacker with a knife is very absolute. Use your legs, improvised weapons. I mean, this is freaking important. I'm from India. How do you defend yourself from someone to throw acid on your face? Aske, I made a video on that on Code Red Defense. It should be going up. A lot of it is just awareness. It's so hard and so dangerous to see. Again, you see somebody coming close. He's holding a cup. You don't know him. He might, you know, if he looks suspicious, he might be holding it in a certain way. Man, if I even see that, fucking just run, slap it out of his hand, pick something up to protect your face. I mean, it's a very dangerous and brutal type of attack. So, Vincent, of course, BJ works, but in street fight, big use is to get back up and start the attackers down. One-on-one is working, but multiple attackers, absolutely. And again, guys, yeah, there's no BS, guys. I'm not here to tell you guys I'm gonna sell you. I have a program online, guys. NickDrossos.com. By the way, I have a new website that's going to be going up Friday. We're starting a new program that's going to be a new tutorial, a new membership site, new content that's never been seen and never been done is going to be on my NickDrossos.com. The reason why I'm doing it there, a lot of restrictions. I want to teach what I want to teach, how I want to teach it. I don't want to be limited to what I could say and what I can say. So go visit my website, nickdrossos.com, as well as April 11 and 12, 2020 is my level 1 instructor course. There's only 5 spaces left. This is level 1. We're going to be talking about awareness, verbal defense, common attacks, ground fighting, striking fundamentals, scenarios, and basic knife defense. We're going to be breaking all these down. We're going to be training, but as well as I'm going to be teaching you how to teach it. So go check that out at nickdrossos.com for my instructor course. Guys, share my videos if you like what you're watching. Subscribe, hit the bell, share it with your friends. And I'm also offering one-on-one coaching online so I can train with you from anywhere in the world. Let me take some more of your questions. How did your regimen preparing for multiple... Craig, Nick, how do you train a regimen for preparing for multiple attackers in the gym? You got to do scenarios, man. Do full-out scenarios. Do drills with multiple attackers, get 2, 3 buddies. And sometimes the best guys to train with are guys who don't train. Get 2, 3 friends and tell them, guys, you know what? Guys, here's a marker. Here's, and I want you to try to take me down, you to try to stab me, and you try to punch me in the face. Put on a helmet, tell them put on some gloves, a mouthpiece, and just fucking go at it. You know what I mean? Do some drills, break it down so you're not overwhelmed, and the training, and start slow. Start with 1-on-1, 2-on-1, and scale slowly the exercise and the drill to make it more realistic and make it harder. Markin, what's up, my man? Best combination is boxing, wrestling, BJJ base, and then add some. Vincent, I actually agree with you, man. Boxing is awesome. Wrestling, I would probably say boxing, Thai boxing, and BJJ base, and then you add some self-defense elements in there, some self-defense concepts and strategies, right? So that's what I teach. The difference between concepts and strategies, and memorized movements is you have to create so many different type of scenarios for so many different type of attacks, and taking in context that the fight happens and the attacker reacts exactly that way. Concepts and strategies, the difference is you understanding, well, I'm in a car, I'm in an elevator, I'm in an enclosed environment against a knife. What are my highest chances of survival? Well, I need to trap the knife. Open space. Through pressure testing, you will see what works and what doesn't work. I've pressure tested knife attacks from 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, and I've given, I was actually being the one being tested by Helen, and I had different options. Pick up a chair, run to the door, and I got to learn pretty quickly what works and what doesn't work. What are my best chances of survival based on my environments? By the way, Nick, I love the realism on the bigger attackers in your video. Most people don't. A guy like Moose, guys, is a beast, right? You're looking at 6'6", 290 pounds, a football player. If this guy comes at you like a fucking truck, he's gonna smash your face. You can't even move him. When you're fighting somebody like Moose, you're fighting for your life. You really, like, one shot is like a fucking, it's like, I have the agility, the speed, but I better bank that I hit him. And a guy like Moose won't feel a body shot, right? I gotta fucking punch him in the throat. I gotta fucking stick my fingers in his eyes. I gotta smack him in the ear, punch him behind the head, hammer fist the nose, bust the balls. I gotta hit from here to here and fucking, like, you are fighting for survival when you're fighting a guy like Moose. So I'm actually gonna be making some more videos. Nick, what do you do if someone comes running at you? It depends. Like, I mean, do I have an improvised weapon? I'll fucking throw it at him. And just by me throwing an improvised weapon, I can slow him down, right? I could move around a car or something to break the straight line direction, right? I could time it where I move back, and boom, step in with a strike and hit him as he's coming in. Very hard to say. I could maybe throw a front kick. But again, if he's coming with so much power in the front, it's pretty hard to stop him depending on the size of the person when he's coming straight at you. Front kick, push kick. Yeah, hoping. Guys as big as Moose as the reason guns were invented. Yeah, like a guy like Moose, guys. Yeah, push kick can injure you. That's true. Pietro, very good point. If there's a lot of power coming forward, it can. A guy like Moose, guys, like, I mean, you gotta fucking smash something over this guy's head, and run because there's a lot of power, right? And that's why you gotta. That's why I say conditioning is a really important part of your self-defense. Speed and footwork and timing, agility, movement, being able to counter. A guy like that, you got to use some dirty fighting, right? So guys, pretty much up for my live, I think. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Pietro... #1 homicide rate. Holy shit, man. Oblique kicks in a street fight. A pretty funny thing, right? Like my ribs are busted now because I've been working on my kicks with Davis. And I went to throw a kick, grabbed my leg, boom, punched me in the ribs, and fucking I dropped. So, you know, I'm not a big kicker, but I'm starting to work my kicks, my low line kicks, and working more my knees to really have explosive knees that like they come out just bam. Every time I'm striking, I hit high, I hit low, I hit low, I hit high. So I'm working on those knees and really those low line kicks to be able to destroy the knees. So they're like, I mean, anything over the waist again in the street could be dangerous. You might get lucky and nail it, but I mean, I don't train for that, you know. So UFC fighter Ryan Yelu, not a homicide danger. Yeah, knees are brutal, guys, and they're great. Every time I elbow, I train to throw my knee. It's dangerous, different ground. You need to, absolutely, you need to have the good shoes. You need to have the flexibility on the pants. You need to, you know, you need to. Ryan Hall, UFC fight around, got in a street fight, autocorrect, got, and what happened, Superhuman Fitness? Again, BJJ, guys, I'm going to go back. So if you're watching this video, guys, if you're doing BJJ, do it. It's fucking great. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, test it out for yourself, right? So take your BJJ practitioner and say, here's a marker, and we're going to go on the ground, and I want you to stab me and see how long it's going to take you before you could put him in an armbar or submit him. Then say, okay, now I can strike. And you're going to see how the dynamics are going to change. So I approached him aggressive, so he used a double leg takedown. Okay, so you're talking actually right now against a UFC fighter. Guys, these are different. Do not compare a UFC fighter to the average or trained person. Right? You know, sometimes, like, I mean, I train with a pro fighter. He could do shit that 90% of the people can't do. That's his life. He eats, breathes, shits, and trains for fighting, right? Not the average person or even the trained person doesn't put those amount of hours in their training. Now, if your life revolves around it, then yes. But most of you probably it doesn't. So you have to be realistic. And again, just because some guy threw a backspinning kick and knocked somebody out doesn't mean that, oh, let me start training my backspinning kick. It worked in that situation. Are your chances, is it possible or is it probable? Is it possible you knock somebody out with a backspinning kick? Yes. Is it probable? Chances are a lot less likely that you're going to be able to nail that. So this is what I try to say. So wait, I think this is a great, sorry guys. I just find it interesting because he coaches at the BJJ that I trained at before. I switched gyms, absolutely thought they do crazy things. Look, again, you're looking at a UFC fighter. He managed to pull it off. And again, against one-on-one, that's great. Now, had the scenario been different and he did it, and somebody came in and punched him in the head, or he pulled out a knife and started stabbing him, we'd all be saying, oh, well, BJJ doesn't work and, you know, it has its limitations. Again, you got to look at the scenario and you got to break it down and be like, okay, is it possible? Is it probable? It worked for him. Do I start training my backspinning kick? Can the average 40-year-old woman learning self-defense or my client Tom Stewart at 63, am I going to teach him a backspinning kick? No. So this is the big difference, guys, and you gotta use your common sense when you're training. Common sense is the most important thing. Markin, you just gotta come to Montreal, man. Absolutely, man. Like, I mean, I'm not saying these kicks can decapitate for sure. Now, if you might nail it. For some people, that might work. It depends on what you're training, right? Common sense isn't all that common. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm training my kicks now. But again, I'm like, okay, do I want to learn 20 kicks or 5 kicks? Do I want to learn more because it gives me this idea that I'm learning more, or do I want to learn less and train the fuck out of it? That's what I do. So I basically train 5 kicks around, and I'm gonna train the fuck out of those kicks, that they fly out like boom, versus me being, okay, I can throw 25 kicks. Okay, how many of those are you gonna use? How many of those do you need? At some point, you're just learning shit to learn shit, right? Because we get bored and we think because we know more that we're better. Absolutely not. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was a nice live. Nick, when did you realize that fighting on the street is... Yeah, so I'm gonna finish with that. It's actually, when I started working in the clubs, I learned, like, you know, I trained in a lot of systems. I remember one of the schools I used to train with, they, you know, I took it for granted what I was being taught. Oh yeah, spit in the guy's face. Who? Pinch him over here. You see, it works. And grab his ear. And I learned all this shit. And then I realized when I started working in clubs that it all sounds good and cool, but none of this shit really works in a real fight. None of this shit, I didn't have the time, the clarity to even be able to pull this stuff off. And when I started working in the clubs, I was like, okay, so I told myself, what is everything I've learned? Now, what actually works? What did I always go back to using over and over? And that's where my source of teaching came, right? How many elbows? I use a lot of elbows, a lot of knees, not that many headbutts, palm strikes. I've pulled people, brought them down, smacked their heads against the frame of the door, staircases. What did I use and what didn't I ever use? Now, based on that, I said, okay, what do I need to train? I don't need to fucking have 25 strikes. What are the most important ones? Train the fuck out of those and become really good at them. So, all right, guys. So, guys, that's, yeah, guys, I don't want any racism, any of that shit in here, man. Seriously, I don't. So, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please share it. Go visit my website, nickdrossos.com. I have my new membership site that's going to be going on this Friday, as well as sign up to my newsletter. I'm going to have monthly giveaways. And anybody who wants to train with me, level 1 is going to be happening April 11 and 12 here in Montreal, Canada. This is my instructor course. It's open to everyone. If you want to learn and you want to teach self-defense, this is the instructor course program for you. I want to thank you guys for watching. Stay safe and stand strong.